Hello, and welcome to Everyday Expat. My name is Kimberly, and I am an American living in Portugal. And today's topic is actually going to be about my journey moving from the United States to Portugal. So, uh, here's how the journey began. First, uh, just a quick definition of what an expat is. An expat is actually it's a term that's short for expatriate. So an expatriate or expat is a person who was born in one country but they live in another country. So or they don't live in their native country. So that's all an expat is. So how did I become an expat? So it started in 2018. My brother called and asked if I would be interested in visiting Portugal because at the time he was actually considering moving to Portugal. So I said yes, and we met up in November of 2018 in Lisbon. Had a fantastic time. Enjoyed the landscape, the food, the people, the culture, just being so close to the Atlantic Ocean. I thought this is awesome. And then just beautiful sunshiny days. And the weather was actually fairly mild, in November, like mid November. So that was very surprising to me. So, really, like I said, had a great time then. So, fast forward to 2020. So, we're in the pandemic, and I guess just sitting and thinking and reflecting on one's life, I thought, wow, this would be a great time to really truly explore another country because even though we couldn't do a lot, I thought you could, even if, while sheltering in place, you could learn the language, you could do the things as far as going to the grocery store, buying food, you could learn a little bit about a specific area. So I thought that would be a great opportunity. So there the dream was born. 2020. So it's amazing what it can do. But I knew I needed a plan. So then I started to hatch the plan. I'm a planner as a project manager. That's my nature to plan things out. So I said, okay, what's step one, step two, step three, so that I can execute this. So I started doing the research and gathering the appropriate information, going to the website to see what I would need. And the reason I knew that I would need more is, for one, a U.S. passport will only allow you to stay in another country for 90 days. So if you want to stay beyond 90 days, you're going to have to get a visa. So anybody that's considering, moving to another country, that's a good idea. And actually, even though I didn't do that, I would suggest that because 2 weeks to visit someplace is different. Going somewhere to visit on vacation is a different experience from staying 60 to 90 days because then you really get to see, or a better sense, I should say, of what your everyday life can look like on a day-to-day basis because then some of the touristy type things start to wear off. So that would be my recommendation, spending some time in the country. So uh, the first thing I did after I knew that I needed to get a visa if I wanted to stay beyond 90 days, I knew I had to downsize. And that was really the start. Downsizing not only my personal property, but also I had real estate. I had a condo that I owned, and I would have to get rid of the condo. So, I wouldn't have to get rid of the condo, but I knew if I moved, I would not want the obligations in the United States, or the financial obligations associated with owning a property, the upkeep, the maintenance of the property. So I just didn't want that. So I started the process of downsizing all of my personal property and listing and selling the condo. of course, before, there are certain things before you sell any property where you have to get it together. So I did those things so that I could list it for the sale. And then I listed it, and it sold fairly quickly. And that was because in 2021, if you recall, the housing market was hot. It's like you would list it one day and it would be sold the next. It was like I listed it on a Friday and I got 3 offers. So it sold fairly quickly. So I wanted to wait until the condo was sold, or I had an offer and I had the closing was pending before I started the visa application, because once the application was approved, I wanted to move. So, and that's what I did. So, like I said, I downsized my things, sold the condo, and then I was waiting for the approval. I was waiting for the approval of the visa application. That took a little longer than I had anticipated because it's somewhat of a bureaucracy, all the paperwork you need. And then some of the documents, of course, they have to be notarized, apostillized. That was definitely not something I'm familiar with, having to have a document apostillized. But I believe it was the background check from the FBI had to be apostillized. And these different documents, like you have to send it off. They say it takes 4 to 6 weeks before you'll get the document back. So it's a process in getting these things approved. Additionally, it was finding an apartment was another part of the process. I knew someone that lived here, so they assisted me in locating and finding an apartment. So that helps considerably. But there are certain things that you can't do until you're actually in the country. Like you can't open a bank account abroad. You need to be in the country to open the bank account. So there were certain things that I needed to do before. So long story short, in September of 2021, my visa was approved and I moved in October of 2021. So then after I moved, there are certain things that you have to adjust to as an expat, because now I'm in the country, I'm working remotely, so I still do have a job. And I find that, would I recommend working remotely? For me, working remotely was a bit of a challenge because I felt like I was spending most of my time during the day working and I was missing out on a lot of the things that were happening. So now that I am on a sabbatical, I feel I have the opportunity to really truly enjoy the experience in a way that I had not before. So my recommendation for anybody that's considering, moving to another country is to first scout out the location. If it's one trip or more than one trip, take the time to really know that, this is someplace you would like to stay. It doesn't have to be indefinitely. It could just even be for the length of the visa, but just to know that, this is somewhere I really would like to be. So scout out the location first, downsize your things second, then start the visa process. And then after your visa is approved, go ahead and make the move. Well, these are my musings and on my journey of becoming an expat. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about it, please go ahead and leave them in the comments. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Have a great weekend. Bye.